Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to this new episode of Beyond of Akashic Storytelling. Welcome, welcome playing with circles, Dominique. Please comment below, please share with your friends, say hi. Let me know if you have any questions for the collective. So this time we're doing a show episode. This time it's not gonna be a guest live, but there'll be basically a reading, kind of like a forecast for the week for the collective. Well, not really a forecast because the Akasha doesn't do fortune telling. We don't talk about the future, but we do talk about basically how to the things that are important this week that you might need to be doing in order to cope with the things that are happening already and that may be happening soon. So things like self-care practices, creativity practices, collective community care practices. So we're gonna go into all of that. And this time I read into my own Akasha before the show, so I already know what story I'm gonna read. So the format is, normally if there was a guest on the show, we would say, if you were a guest, Dominic, playing with circles, I would open up your Akashic records, ask the Akasha what is the story that you need to hear this week. Then we would have an opening message. We would open up your Akashic records, we would have an opening message and read that story, and then we would, together with the Akasha, which is the endless space from our indigenous Hindu culture, discuss how the story impacted you. You would tell us how the story impacted you, what you learned from it, and then we would also go into any questions that you want to answer. But when I do a show for the collective, which I do sometimes, I just read for the collective, and then we go into what else the Akasha has to say about it, and then you can also type in any questions you have regarding that story. And today we are going to read from this book, Beyond the Gender Binary by ALOK V. Menon. Hi, Simone. Yes, let me flip the camera because sometimes it reverses the titles and stuff. So this is the story we're going to read from today, Beyond the Gender Binary. So this time it's going to be a true story rather than a fictional story. So it's going to be a lived experience, and it's going to be like the first story in the book, the first 3 pages. And I think I'm going to play some music in the beginning and maybe even do a little dance. I'm going to play in a certain way where I'm going to play it fast and then play it slow and increase the silences between the music so that you get deeper into your own silence. And then I'll do the dance, which is completely silent, and that'll help you get deeper into your own inner wisdom. I think that's how I'm going to do it this time, and then read from the story. Wait, it says I'm frozen. How about now? Let me see. If I turn it on, paused. Oh, I'm back, right? Am I back? Can you hear that? So if you saw most of the dance, and I hope you did, especially for those who have trouble with structure, which I think we discussed last week and even the week before, seems to be a common theme for most of the people on this live that I've brought so far. That spiral stick is a lesson in the power of structure because it gives me a freedom and a flow and a stabilizing direction and guidance. And it is a structure. And yet, the way that I danced, I can only dance with that stick, with that structure. I cannot do it on my own without that structure. So rather than structure being a prison, it's a stepping stone that takes me to another way of being or another level of being or another depth of being, of creative expression. Yeah. So yeah, important side note about structure with that stick that didn't even occur to me until just now. So let me know if that read. How about now? Alright, let me know if that resonated. What I said about structure, or if you heard what I said. And now I'm gonna read again from this book. I'm wondering if there's gonna be more of maybe there's better connection here. Alright. Gonna start reading from here. The days. Hello, writing quietly. So I'm about to read from this book, Beyond the Gender Binary. It's gonna read a story. This is the Akashic storytelling episode, where we go into the Akasha to read the story that the collective needs to hear this week. And then you can type in any other questions you have about the story or about the collective that the story brings up. And then the Akasha can answer those questions. The days that I feel most beautiful are the days I'm most afraid. They tell us to be ourselves, right? To be ourselves, in quotes. But if you listen closely, there's more to that sentence until you make them uncomfortable. Be yourself until you make them uncomfortable. There is always a limit, a breaking point. Once you cross the line, then you are too much and are put back in your place. In this way, acceptance of self-expression becomes conditional. Express yourself using this template under these constraints with this time limit. Go. It's like being handed over a Scantron sheet and demanded to paint a self-portrait on it. It's possible, of course, but why even bother when a canvas is within our reach? So I want to pause a little bit over here and also comment on how This is the structure that is structure as prison, right? Rather than structure as stabilizing force. That's a stepping stone to you accessing the depth of yourself, which is the opposite of that spiral stick that I played with. Anyways, moving on. Is it really a choice when you don't get to select the options you are given to begin with? The other day, I left the house wearing a teal dress, purple lipstick, and a full beard. I have always, and I mean always, loved color. If you flip through our old family photo albums, it will feel like sifting through the pages of a fashion magazine. There I am at 5 years old, wearing a vibrant floral print t-shirt with fuchsia shorts, a pink lunchbox, and a huge smile to top it all off. What I like about colors is that when you mix them together, they become greater than the sum of their parts, something different altogether. No one goes around asking, but are you really more blue or more green? Teal is not blue-green. It is teal. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. Back to the other day. I have to admit it was foolish of me to leave the house in that dress. New York winters are unforgivingly cold, but there I was, with no coat, trekking through the streets on my way to the grocery store. As I walked down 6th Avenue, two people started pointing and shouting, "There's a man in a dress! Hey, everyone, look! It's a man in a dress!" I looked all around me. But I couldn't find whom they were talking about. There were no men in dresses to be found. Besides, even if there had been, how is that remarkable? Let alone an insult. It is an article of clothing. It's like saying, "Hey everyone, look, it's a lamppost." Nothing out of the ordinary here, just keep on moving. I realized that they were in fact addressing me when they took out their camera phones to take some shots of me. My heart quietly started to beat faster. My chest tightened. I turned up the music in my headphones. I walked faster. I did not look back. This is a disconnect I've come to know well between what people see and who I actually am. Let me also just pause for a minute and just let that sink in for a bit. Alright, going on. I've learned that the most lethal part of the human body is not the fist, it's the eye. What people see and how people see it has everything to do with power. When I finally reached the grocery store, I still couldn't relax. The thing about being visibly gender non-conforming is that we are rarely, if ever, defended by other people in public. Everyone thinks that since we made a choice to look like that, we are bringing it upon ourselves. The only reason people can fathom why we would look this way is because we want to draw attention to ourselves. They can't even consider that maybe we look like this for ourselves and not for other people. We are reduced to a spectacle, and when you are a spectacle, the harassment you experience becomes part of the show. Now let's pause there for a bit also. Alright, I'm gonna keep reading. As I checked out my groceries, the person next to me in line approached. Oh dear, here we go again. Hey, can I ask you something? I started to walk away. Why do you dress like that? I stopped in my tracks. This felt like it could be genuine curiosity and not something more hostile. Hey, Corazon, Demelon, welcome. I'm reading from this book, and you're watching an episode of Akashic Storytelling. As I prepared to exit the store, they came a little bit closer. My heart beat a little bit faster. They lowered their voice. It's just that I used to wear skirts and dresses when I was younger. What happened? I asked. They laughed, but their eyes told another story. There are some questions that have no answers. How do you express pain when you can't even locate the wound? It's like when you let a balloon loose into the sky. You don't know where it goes, but you know that it went. Alright, I'm back. Alright. Hi Danny, welcome. So I just read from this book, Beyond the Gender Binary. And it's from this book, Beyond the Gender Binary. And since I finished reading that story, Danny, you'll have to watch the replay. It actually started 20 minutes ago. Alright. So, hey, Corazon, and then you, I think, heard the end of it. So for those who were in the beginning, I don't know who else is still here. If Simone or Playing with Circles, let me know if you have any questions for the collective based on the story. If you don't, I'll just ask the Akasha myself, my own questions. And what is the message this week for the collective? And for those who are new to my work and to Akashic Records, I'm an Akashic Records reader. Comment below if you've heard of the term Akasha or Akashic Records. So the term Akashic Records comes from the word Akasha or Akash, which means in both Hinduism and Buddhism, which is my lineage, my culture, it means the endless space. And an Akashic Records reading is reading from the infinite wisdom of that endless space, which is timeless as well, is beyond time. And it contains a record of each person's past lives and future lives and all timelines, and therefore all the wisdom and guidance they need to move forward. And normally I bring on a guest to do a reading for them on the live, but from time to time I do a reading for the collective, which I did today, by reading the story that the collective needs to hear and then telling you the message that all of you as a collective needs to hear, basically. And so let me ask, what else regarding the story that you all need to hear? Dear Akashic Records, what else regarding the story do you all need to hear? Really, the importance of community care, reclaiming your own joy, but also allowing the people around you, the people in your vicinity, especially Black, Brown, Indigenous people, and non-binary and trans people, to really truly be self-expressed, to truly be ourselves, not just not like in this beginning of the story when he said, the days that I feel most beautiful are the days I'm most afraid. They tell us to be ourselves, but if you listen closely, there's more to that sentence. Until you make them uncomfortable. Be yourself until you make them uncomfortable. There's always a limit, a breaking point. Once you cross the line, then you are too much and are put back in your place. We're always too much or not enough, always. That's how white people, the system of white supremacy treats us, especially when, especially towards black and brown and indigenous, trans and non-binary people. And so for us individually, this is why reclaiming our joy is our defiance. Reclaiming our pleasure is a defiance against that, because the system wants us to stop existing. But also, as you, especially if you're the one, if you're white, if you're the one holding that systemic power, or if you're cis or heterosexual, then it's really important for you to liberate yourself by liberating us, by not judging us, by allowing us to be fully expressed, by empowering us to create systems, to dismantle the system and create systems that are non-judgmental, especially of the way we dress, for example, the way we look. For example, even on this live, really look into yourself and ask yourself if you are subconsciously judging me, if you would rather I wear a suit, or if you would rather I have shorter hair. Really examine your biases, even of me, as you watch this live. Or would you rather I don't have a broken tooth? Really ask yourself the hard questions and really examine why do you have these biases? Where does it come from? Is it harmful? And what can you do to change yourself? What can you do to stop being harmful, to stop being oppressive? That is what the collective really needs to hear this week. Especially as, that many of us, we talk about the murders and the high-profile murders, but we don't talk enough about the little murders of the spirit, how the system is killing us spiritually, emotionally, mentally. There are these little cuts every day. The Chinese call them the death of 1,000 little cuts. We don't talk enough about that. The stress from living in a system like that, the stress from trying to manage ourselves in a system like that. Even things such as code switching, having to have a professional accent or a professional voice, having to dress professionally, meaning to dress white, to talk white, to talk straight, to dress straight. All of those little things are little stresses that are killing us. And your little biases of each person creates a collective bias, and it's time for you all to dismantle your oppressive biases right now. Let me know if that resonates, how that lands for you. Alright, I'm gonna end this live by playing this instrument. This is the instrument I'm playing, by the way. called a hang drum. And speaking of biases, also look at the books you're reading. Which authors are you reading? Who are you hiring? Who are the employees, the job applicants you're hiring? If you're hiring coaches and healers, who are you hiring? Are you really looking at your racist, sexist, transphobic, fatphobic, all of these biases in the way you hire people, even when it comes down to actual paying people money, right? Which is one of the ways we're surviving in this capitalist system. And we all need this money, specifically this fiat currencies, to survive. In fact, one recent thing that I've really started doing is every time I see a white coach or a white author, especially somebody I've never heard of before, that's recommended to me by social media algorithms, or I see in a Facebook ad or other algorithms, I just do a simple thing now where I put in their full name and I put in the word racism in a Google search. And it's just amazing what shows up. Some of these people are pro-oil drilling, they were pro-McCain, they are anti-autism, anti-vax. By the way, I'm on the autism spectrum, I'm neurodivergent, and a lot of, speaking of dying young, have an average age limit of age 36. So, yeah. And that is my final message for today. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.